Let's talk about the equals method for bounded stack. Here are 4 different bounded stacks with 4 different representations. The interesting thing here is that all these stacks have the same abstract value. Remember, for an array bounded stack, only the array elements from 0 to depth minus 1 are relevant to the abstraction. The last bounded stack, S4, is from a list-based implementation of a bounded stack. Notice that it also has the same abstract value as the other bounded stacks. And that's what's important in the equals methods. 2 stacks should be equal if they have the same abstract value. Now let's look at some implementations of the equals method. The first implementation just looks at whether the fields of this stack are the same as the fields of that stack. Unfortunately, because we're comparing arrays with the equal operator, the only way the stacks are going to be equals is if the arrays are the same exact object. If we tried to check if S1 were equal to itself, the method would return true. But if we tried to check if S1 was equal to anything else, the method will return false. Here's another implementation. This time, instead of using the equal operator to compare arrays, we're using the equals method from the arrays class. The arrays equal method will return true if the elements of the arrays are equal, regardless of whether the arrays happen to be the same object. Therefore, this implementation of equals will return true for S1 and S2, but not for other stacks. In particular, S1 is not equals to S3 here because all of the elements in the array are being compared. Since we only want to check the elements that are relevant to the abstraction, this is not what we want. By the way, if you try to automatically generate an equals method in the array stack class using Eclipse, this is the implementation you're going to get. This is the implementation that will work if you're comparing 2 array stack objects. You just want to compare the elements in the array from index 0 to index depth minus 1. If they're equal and your other fields are equal, the stacks are equal. Unfortunately, this will not work if you have 2 completely different implementations of bounded stacks that you want to compare, such as an array-based implementation and a list-based implementation. To do that, you should simply use the iterator, because both the stack iterator and the list iterator will iterate over the same elements in the same order. I should say here that some people might want to use the toString method to check whether 2 objects are equal. Simply put, don't do this. Strings are fragile. If someone accidentally implements 2 spaces where there should be 1, you might not be able to tell the difference when you're looking at them, but the computer will catch it and declare those strings as unequal. Also, if you happen to have a Q object that has the same string representation as your stack object, you certainly don't want those objects to be equal. And one last thing, since you do want to be able to compare stacks with 2 completely different implementations, the appropriate place for the equals method is in the abstract stack class.